Perched high above the city of Baltimore, Maryland, from Magooby's Joke House, comes the tale of 5 brave adventurers and their intrepid audiomancer on a journey wrought with magic, mayhem, and dick jokes. For this is Laugh Finder.
Welcome to Laugh Finder! All right, guys, full disclosure. This week, Ben couldn't join us, so it was up to us to run the board and record the episodes.
And we failed horribly.
Well, not horribly. The good news is the second episode with our guest, we got that, and that's the combat episode.
Yeah, well, you got combat.
Yeah, the bad news is that this episode, which is all role play, we don't have it. It wasn't on the card.
Yeah, we missed Kevin Skiffington rolling a nat 20 on his first roll.
On a perception check.
On a perception check.
Yeah.
You missed me making dancing lights come out of my head, but I had to rub my gourd titties.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things we missed in this episode.
You rubbed your titties to activate the spell, and then you just opened up your head and the bulbs came. So it was not necessary for you to describe rubbing your own tits.
It's necessary. It is necessary. It's part of the ritual.
You described how they were oblong-shaped gourds.
Oh, yeah, they're not perfect titty. They're more like an eggplant, like a long pear. And like the titty part is not fat at the bottom. It's skinny bottom titty. It's fat up top. With like gnarly ass vines coming out of the end.
Tits are gross. Which, if any of you listeners have tits like that, they're gross.
Send pics to aircomedy.com.
Matter of fact, all of our female listeners, please send a picture of your breasts.
So we can make sure you're not a freak of nature. Because guess what? If you have those shaped titties, your Patreon level just went up a tick.
Take it to Critical Role, all right? Take those weird titties to Glass Cannon. This is only a rockin' tit podcast.
Yeah, you don't bring your fucking titties like they just got splashed with toxic waste at the end of RoboCop 1 on this podcast.
If your titties have ever said, "Start the reactor, Quaid," if you have Quado titties, please find another podcast to listen to.
But I will, even horrible titties, I will let them meld with my mind if needed. If
you
so
know
needed.
What? Tits, I don't know. There are some bad tits. I've only seen bad tits on guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I dated a girl once that we were making out, and I was licking on her boob.
Yeah.
And there was dedefinitely, she had a hairy areola.
Ooh, that's a little rough.
It is a little rough. It was. I think she had just shaved.
You basically had
Rachel?
Your sexual encounter was like that Ben Stiller movie where he's playing basketball with the
I also dated a girl. Look, I like all different flavors of women. But I dated a girl that outweighed me. Before Lou, I was dating a girl that outweighed me.
Okay, heavyweights. Got it.
That's it's the heaviest girl I'd ever dated.
How many bills are we talking here?
I mean, at the time I was maybe 210.
210,
and she might have been like 230 or something.
Okay, I mean that's a big girl.
She was big. But
How tall? Like
5'8".
No, I'm just kidding. I was hoping she'd at least be a giant. She was 7 foot tall.
Yeah, and then I dumped her for Lou. Like, you idiot.
Started every standing 6'9" by dropping me.
Just to show me who's boss. But so she, the first time I saw her naked, like I said, it's the first time I'd ever been with someone that big. She had sores here and there, and I just assumed,
like bed sores,
I guess.
Ugh.
It almost looked like you had picked a scab.
Ugh, it's a Jeremy.
Like on her boobs.
Maybe she had psoriasis.
Well, I just thought that's what larger people get. It's just sores. I just thought that was a thing.
Ugh.
But apparently, I think it's because she worked for like the Baltimore Parks Department, and it was mosquito bites, and she just kept scratching.
She had mange.
Yeah,
nice.
But there were definitely times where I thought I was sucking on her nipple, and I was licking a sore. I was sucking on her coppery nipple.
As the blood started to flow out, like, ooh, I think you're lactating, girl.
Ooh, girl. It's starting to scab.
See, this is what happens when we don't have the moral compass of an Aaron or a Brian going, oh, Jesus. Because I encourage this type of behavior as well. We're the sick people for the car cast.
But this past weekend, we did go to, we performed the Merry Murder Mystery.
Yeah, Triple M. Solid
and this was
show.
our first shows this season.
Yeah, first of the holiday season at the Bright Box Theater.
Yeah, and I had a bit of a mouth diarrhea, I guess we would call it.
God, Tommy. Tommy, first of all, we usually stay the night at Winchester at the respectable chain hotel, La Quinta, which is, listen, at one time I used to think like La Quinta was on par with like a Motel 6 of shit. It's nice now.
No, it's nice.
Very nice. And we get up there, and Thomas it's me, Katie, and Tommy. Katie is checking us in, and this lady who we're cracking a couple jokes, not into it at all. She then asks, do you guys have any pets you're checking in? And I look over at Tommy, and there's a grin akin to that of the Grinch that stole Christmas. Like right before he puts the whole Christmas tree in the bag, he looks at me and lets this grin out. And then you decided to say...
I said, nope, just this raging hog.
And she did not like it.
No, got nothing. No one laughed. No one chuckled. Not a guffaw.
I
just
laughed.
this side eye from this woman.
I went immediately... I had to it was one of those moments where I walked away from them, and I think Katie immediately said, "You regretted saying that, didn't you?"
Yeah, and I was like, the minute my lips started moving, I regretted saying it.
And then she proceeded to start warning us about how we have the right to kick you out if necessary.
She was like,
not directly, but just basically said, "Don't fuck with us."
Well, because I told her, I was like, "How are you guys busy? Are you packed this weekend? Because we get a little rowdy." And she was like, "Look, if we call your room and I tell you to cut it out, just cut it out." And I was like, "Okay." She was like, "Because if you don't cut it out," and I was like, "All right, I get it. I mean, what are you gonna do, bitch? What are you gonna do?
What you gonna do, brada?"
Oh, I do want to tell this though. So last night, now this wouldn't have been on the first episode of the podcast because this just happened last night. I performed at Das Beer Hall, Wendy Townsend's show.
Das Beer Hallen, yes.
On this bill was started out Sandy Benton.
Ooh,
not Sandy Bernstein.
SB, okay.
Sandy Benton, a very mousy kind of girl. Now the show already started.
This Sandy Benton?
What? Yes.
This one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The one that talks like the dog. She's adorable. Hey guys.
But that's Sandy Benton. She went
She
first.
talks like hentai girls, not during hentai. That's her tone.
Oh, Papa-san, Senpai-chan. What do you mean they're Temple of the Demon Tentacles?
Sounds like fun.
I pull my panties to the side when I shit.
So she started. Now the show was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. Starts at 8:45 because beforehand they had two Ravens players. If you brought Toys for Tots, they would sign whatever you want. You could take a picture with them. More people kept coming.
What Ravens
coming.
players were there? Could you even name them?
I don't even know. They're not even starters. Well, the one guy is starting. He's starting for the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
Does that mean anything?
Yeah, the Pro Bowl's a big deal. That means he's a starting player for the Ravens. He's probably pretty fucking good.
Name's probably Pat something.
Pat Summerall?
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Not that was a test and you failed.
Oh, damn it! So Walker Hayes is on the show. Now Walker is originally from this area, moved to New York, and now is living in Atlanta. So whenever she comes to town, she brings people. And she had a group of maybe 10 people. The only people there for the show, 20 people. Right.
Okay. Nice. A quaint audience.
James Finn was there. Chris Zielinski. Dan Caper came, which I think Dan and
by the way,
Sandy may be dating.
Speaking of James Finn, quick shout outs.
Yeah.
Check out Tune In Next Week. Okay. Tune In Next Week is James Finn's podcast. Each episode is maybe 5 minutes long. It's worth the listen. Let me just tell you. You'll burn through it, all of the episodes in a single car ride, and it is fun. It literally is just the bit of the show is like, sorry, no episode this week, and he tells you why there couldn't be an episode this week. And the excuses are they build. It builds to a crescendo that's worth listening to. So just a quick plug for old Jimmy Finn, the master of time and space.
So the show starts late. Walker's people are drunk as shit and still getting drinks at the very beginning of the show. As far as I know, there's 17 comics on this lineup that I'm closing out, right?
Okay.
So...
That's the fucking worst. When there's like 8 people, you're like, even if there's people that do well, there's nobody that's going to want to listen to you because the host has clearly lied about the quality throughout the show. When there's 8 people, not all 8 people are going to crush. There's going to be 5 of them that are not going to do well.
Why? He kept coming over and pointing out people on the show going, why is this person on the show? Maybe you'll be able to pick out the name once I say it.
Okay.
So Sandy Benton goes up. Sandy is very funny, but she is very soft-spoken, and the crowd, she got some good laughs in, but those drunk bastards in the front, which meanwhile, I'm watching Walker's People, and the one woman made like the motion for cocaine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, they're also...
The universal...
Yeah, she was like...
Okay, gotcha.
So they would disappear into the bathroom and come back out very energized. I'm like, oh, they're coked up, too.
Hell yeah.
There's these drunk, coked up weirdos here. So Sandy Benton goes up, does all right. She comes down. Next up, the one and only Tom Myers.
Yes.
He had set up his camera to get a demo. Tom goes up there.
What footage do we still need to see of Tom Myers? What haven't we seen?
He tells one joke about being on Harford Road, that it's I think he said something like the finger fucking capital of Maryland, right? And yeah, and that's a good bit. People were like, all right, okay, I'm in. Okay, here we go.
And he was like, and if you're offended by that one, buckle the fuck in.
Yeah.
Then it is a hard nosedive. Just
Light
fucking,
it up, Tommy.
he just pushed the fucking the stick forward, and he walked 4 people. He's the second comic and walked 4 people.
Buckle the fuck in, because the edgelord has spoken.
Yeah, you paid for your whole seat, but you'll only use your feet to leave as I start my act.
Oh, so Tommy Myers bombed. That sucks, man.
That's weird. So then Ryan Nazer calls an audible and puts Dan Caper up.
Okay.
Because he was like, we got to pull out of this nose.
He's a wholesome comic, Dan Caper.
So Dan Caper goes up, has a great set. Great 5 minutes or whatever. I think he was only there because Sandy Benton. I think they might be dating. There was definitely some vibes coming off of them. Like they were sharing a chicken tender.
Gosh, I can't imagine how exciting that sexual experience between those two must be.
This sounds pretty good.
And he's like,
okay.
I have a hole in the top of my mouth.
I feel like the whole sex doesn't reach over 3 decibels of sound. It's like if you were trying to eavesdrop or like be a voyeur, you would need high-tech spy equipment to uncover the sounds, like sonar.
If Lou and I had to be bedmates, much like Charlie of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's grandparents with any other couple, I would like it to be Sandy and Dan.
Yeah.
Because the sex would be so quiet, just like...
Don't worry, the Simbazos are providing the soundtrack.
I hope you can get off to... Please stop fucking near my feet! So, then next up was a woman that I've never met before. Her name was Kate something. She's from Columbia.
Okay.
She has been doing comedy for 2 years. Hadn't done comedy for 2 months.
Okay.
Comes to and does the show. They did not like that.
No. All right.
Then next up, there was a guy from Philadelphia. Okay. His name was Tommy as well. There were 3 Toms on this show.
Great. Tom Myers, this other Tommy, and Tommy Simbazo.
Yeah, his name was Tommy Highland from Philadelphia. He went up, was very animated. They enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Josie Marcelino goes up. She got a couple good pops in her set. Okay. You know, they liked it. Then some woman. Now, later in the show, this woman, Wendy, who booked the show, put a woman on the show that people paid to see. This was this woman's first time ever doing comedy.
Okay.
It was horrible. Tom Myers bad.
I imagine it's your first time. Your friends are there. Did her friends gaslight her up, though, and like laugh at her horrible
you would think
jokes?
She had friends there. She had one male friend, may have been her husband. Maybe she was like, this is my best friend and husband, Kevin.
And he's
That's a
like,
good bit.
my life's a living hell.
Yeah, this is my wife's thing ever since she got out of selling stuff on Etsy. She does comedy now. So,
I told her she's a real hoot. I just want other people to listen to her so I don't have to.
you know, Bobo socks, what's the deal with them? Am I right? When are they bringing back Bobos?
So then Walker Hayes goes up. Mm-hmm. And Walker is now drunk as shit.
Hammered.
Yeah, hammered.
Full
her friends
white girl
now,
wasted.
Though, her friends now that have been waiting forever to see her, they're fucking hammered as shit too. She's just performing for them. Like, so all like the jokes are like, Kevin knows what I'm talking about. And they're like,
Yo,
Kevin.
Yo, my name's Kevin. I know about that.
She right, everybody. She right.
Yo, you don't even know how crazy that is.
So she's doing a bit about how men are always saying it's so hard to give a woman oral properly, and they're like, oh, you need like a manual, and it needs to be under a full moon, and then you need to like have her laid down with candles around as you read a Harry Potter poem and going off. And I made a mental note of that because as I then got up on stage and I went up next and I was like, Walker, you said Harry Potter poem. They're called fucking spells, you muggle bitch. You dumb muggle bitch. How do you not know what a spell is? Harry Potter poem. But
good
I basically
muggle drop.
I
Did
went
they
off
like
the
muggles?
cuff. I went off the cuff and I crushed. I did really good.
Just riffed it out?
Just riffed it out.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Tied into some bit. We met one of the guys in the crowd through talking to him. He at one time was a middleman for a drug dealer and had $1 million worth of marijuana stored in his home.
Nice.
This was only 4 years ago. How much marijuana? I was like, what did you store it in? He was like, it was just these U-Haul boxes just packed full of weed.
Wow.
I was
That's a
like,
lot of
nice.
weed.
Was it good weed? He was like, I didn't smoke weed. I was like, nice.
You just were storing it, huh?
Yeah, he just packed it all up his ass.
Man,
He
that's a
was
lot to
muling it.
coyote.
But I was like, how much money did you make off of it? He was like, enough. I'm like, well, just give me a ballpark figure. He was like, I paid off my car, I bought a new car, and I bought a house.
Oh, and a house.
And a house.
All right.
And a Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card.
And this Shivan Dragon from Magic the Gathering.
So then at the end of the night, I leave. I go to Magooby's because I thought it was the New Talent of the Year award competition or whatever. I wanted to see who won. That apparently was the next night, so it wasn't that. So just hung out with Andrew for a bit. Now it's getting to be around 1 o'clock in the morning. I haven't talked to Lou since I left. Mm-hmm. Now I'm driving home. My stomach turns.
Ouch. Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's weird. And I was like, okay, I might have to shit later.
Uh-oh.
10 minutes later, I'm like, I have to fucking shit now.
Oh, those
and
are
I
the
still got another
worst.
15 minutes to drive.
Every mile marker is just a little win, but
Yeah.
doesn't feel good.
So I'm practicing Lamaze breathing, like, I'm speeding to get home. I finally get home. I run out of the car. Running was a bad idea because that first jog I did a little bit was like, boop, and I was like, no. So I made it up to the top of the stairs, opened the door. As soon as I get in the door, apparently Lou had been blowing up my phone because she hadn't heard from me. So I come in, she's like, where the fuck have you been? I was like, I gotta shit. And I run in, I drop trowel, and as I'm bending over to sit down on the toilet, I begin shitting.
Yes.
So I quick sat down as quick as I could, misjudged where the hold of the seat was. So I shit all on the back of the seat. It blows out up my back. I'm wearing $180 tennis shoes that I just have to throw away. Get away from me, shoes. Now, and Lou was just yelling at me from the, I've been calling you. Meanwhile, I'm covered in shit now at this point.
Meanwhile, you're living the movie Dumb and Dumber in the bathroom.
So now I'm taking toilet paper and scooping shit off the seat to throw away. It is in the hinges of the toilet seat. So once I get myself cleaned properly enough, I then have to go get a pair of pliers to take apart the toilet seat so I can clean the toilet
I
seat.
thought it was so you could pull the rest of the shit out of your ass. The one that's lodged.
Oh my God, get the needle nose. Get the poop wrench.
The poop wrench is good, man.
So Lou finally, she comes in and she's no sympathy whatsoever. Now Lou has IBS, so I've dealt with stuff like this with her all the time. I'm always very sympathetic, telling her it's fine, it's okay, don't worry about it. Not
What's
Lou.
this lady doing?
She doesn't want to be out in the middle of the intersection.
Then just go, lady. Jesus.
So Lou is now, she's just like, so what, you couldn't call me? While I'm wiping, like, the back of my neck to get the shit off of it. And then she's like, you know what? I may have IBS, but you have me beat. I'm like, there's no way I have you beat. She was like, I've never had to take apart the toilet seat to clean up after myself.
That's a good point. That's
So,
a solid point.
1 o'clock in the morning, I had to take a shower, wash it all off. So today I'm very, very tired for the show that we're doing.
Which is the Mary Murder Mystery.
Another Mary Murder Mystery.
You know, Tommy, I got a good story. I've told you, but I don't think our listeners, I didn't even bring it up in the last episodes. I this weekend went to well, first of all, it was my birthday, just passed.
Yeah, happy
I know
birthday.
this is late into January now,
did you have
but
a good birthday?
I did. I spent it with you guys at the Winchester, which was quite lovely. Had a great time, but. Earlier in that day, my wife had bought me this beautiful jean jacket. It's a Sherpa lined jean jacket, very nice. And I decided that I needed matching denim pants so I could finish my Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
So I went to the Walmart. I realized it's Christmas time. It's going to be busy, right? I go get my items, go through the self-checkout. In and out within like 25 minutes. I was pretty happy, right? Well, on the exit, and I know you guys have seen this, they have the lady who checks your receipt as you're leaving, right? Well, I get to this, and everybody's kind of backed up, and there's like 3 carts in front of me, and they're kind of like shaking down these carts one by one, and I kind of look at this, and I'm like, this is taking already longer than I expected. I'm kind of on a deadline, I need to get back. So I, with my one item in hand, just started walking out, right? And I do this, listen, I have a thing where I'm like, listen, I'll show you what I have on my shit if I want to.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory. These people aren't fucking police, right? So and by the way, what would a 90-year-old woman or the 16-year-old that they hire to do this, what would they do if I said no? There's literally nothing.
Yeah, if you were like, no, they were like, oh, okay.
I would Heisman Trophy. They're not allowed to touch you. I'm like, okay, no, I'm just leaving now. Bye. So I walked to the front to beeline it for the door, and not the employee, but the lady who's getting checked, rather large Karen, goes, excuse me, sir, there's a line, like this. And I looked at her, as I stopped, I turned, I go, no, there's not. And her face went from like already pissed to about to blow a goddamn temple gasket, right? And then she goes, no, you need to go back here so she can check your stuff, blah, blah, blah. You need to do this. And I was like, no, I don't. Again, now she's doubling down with anger, right? Meanwhile, after the second time, I told this lady, no, I'm not stopping for anything. The employee who's checking stuff, she goes, you just have a bag? Oh, you're fine, sir. You can go. I was just like, thank you, ma'am. Merry Christmas. And have a Happy New Year. And then I pointed at the lady and like winked at her and gave her double finger guns like that. And I swear to you, level 20 anger. As I'm walking out the door, all I hear is like, I just can't stand fucking people. I think I can do this.
She went Super Saiyan. She's like,
I need to speak to that man's manager.
You haven't even let me speak to your final manager.
So I pissed off a lady at Walmart.
I need to speak to Sam Walmart.
The Sam Walmart.
I want Sam Walmart on the phone. All right, guys. So coming up, what you're going to hear in this episode, next up, you're going to hear an interview. You're going to do a Skype interview with our guest, Kevin Skiffington.
Yeah, we're going to get all the lowdown and the dirty that we needed to get from him that we generally get at his introduction in the first show.
Yeah.
Nice little 10, 15-minute little break there. And I think Aaron has a recap of the whole episode
then Aaron's
later
going to do another recap of the episode. And you know what we might do is when we come after that, we might do a car cast coming back telling you how this show went. There might be stories from that.
It depends how we feel.
It depends.
Okay?
I'm very tired.
Tommy has had a day.
I do want to give you guys the best we possibly can. I mean, maybe, Eric, do you got any songs you're working on that you can throw on the end there?
Daddy might be able to share something.
Not that one song that you
Which
played.
one? Oh, that you don't want that one? That one is probably my best one that I've done recently.
All right.
But
I mean, yeah, you know what? You can put it on the end of this.
Okay, there's a special
And then
song.
at the very end, there's
it's Christmas. It's Christmas in January. No, it's not even a Christmas song. It's a good It's one of the worst, most horrible things I've ever written, probably.
Eric has a theme with a lot of his songs. So, but keep listening, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in a couple seconds.
Next week?
No, not next week yet.
Welcome to Laugh Finder. It is me, Eric Woodworth, I guess I'm going to call myself the de facto second in command of Baltimore's premier Paizo-based comedy podcast. That's it. Boom, I'm here. All right. And as you guys well know, we lost an entire episode of Laugh Finder, and our guest, Kevin Skiffington, has been kind enough to join us once again via the magic of the web, straight down here to the Quality Time Studios podcast, so we could catch up on what happened in episode 1. So, Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. If I had known that we could just do this over the internet, I would have gladly chosen that over the 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah, well, we like to play the game in person and stuff like that. So it's hard for you to roll and be there and experience the magic of the Magooby's Joke House recording experience.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really seem like Dorian was checking if what I rolled was accurate with what I told him.
Listen, truth be told, I do a lot of cheating. He can barely see past that trifold, and if you see me just, if you watch last season where we did all video on YouTube, which I believe is still available, you can see, the careful eye can see the level of cheating that we do almost every episode.
Yeah, I think if I had sat up straight, I could have seen over his trifold.
Yeah.
So
well, Dorian is out to murder us, so I call it life or death every time we're playing. So, yeah, listen, you got to do what you got to do. But, Kevin, you had in the last episode, the first time you touched a D20, you had a perception check, I think, that Dorian forced you to roll, and you rolled a nat 20.
Yeah, I rolled a perfect 20, and now no one's going to believe us. And
listen, that's why we're saying it right now. How did it feel? Rolling that big D20 for the first time. Was it just like your first time ever professional wrestling? Same kind of exhilaration?
Probably not the same kind of exhilaration. You guys didn't cheer as loud as I thought. Oh, okay. Maybe it is exactly like my first time professional wrestling.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. And I mean, overall, it was a fun. We went through the story of it, and the narrative, basically, episode. So we have our combat episode, but you made it. You helped move a log off somebody. You didn't fall down a giant pit of death. It was really, it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I had never done the Dragons and Dungeons before, and
we're a Pathfinder podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I didn't know what it was either until I joined, but here we are now.
Yeah, but I had never played a game like that, and I had fun. I enjoyed it. I guess I did okay enough to us not die.
You did. You jacked people up pretty good and got us through, and a big contributor to our new campaign. So we can't thank you enough for that, Kevin.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. I hope whoever takes over for me does well enough to keep you guys alive as well.
I don't count on it. All right. Listen, the next guest isn't going to come out of the gate hot-handed and dropping nat 20s left and right like you were. So, listen, what we need is a better cheater like how you did your first time, and then I think we'll be fine.
Okay, yeah. That's what they should do.
Now, Kevin, you had mentioned in the first episode, we kind of got into it a little bit. You were actually started off, I guess, when you were 16 years old into professional wrestling. Tell us a little bit about that and why you got started and how you did.
So I had always enjoyed wrestling as a kid, and I never really saw myself working a normal job. And I was like, well, people are making money wrestling. I should do that. And when I was 16, I found a school nearby, and I went there, and very underwhelming in the back of a daycare on a Saturday.
Yes. How accurate was like you going to train for wrestling to the movie with Mickey Rourke, The Wrestler?
So I think that movie more shows like when, like at the very end of his career. So there's not a lot of like training, but throughout my time wrestling, I've noticed that it's a very accurate depiction of the wrestling life.
Just broken-bodied guys sitting behind a table that isn't going to get broken, but is selling overpriced merch that some people buy.
Yeah, I mean, and like especially on a small level, a lot of places will bring in some former big name, and you can just see their soul like withering away, and especially when you're like first starting out. Like some of the responsibilities I had was to like sit at their table and like help them. So I did like sit with some of the guys and like just hear them like talk, and when no one was there, they'd just like shit on everybody.
Oh, that rocks. Yeah, I would when you started off with your training, who was your original trainer? Who trained you in the art of professional wrestling? Your Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you will.
So the owner of the school was Sweet Jimmy Z.
Okay, tell us a little bit. Tell our listeners a little bit about Jimmy Z.
So he used to be a wrestler and like would travel, and he told stories about how he'd like lose his championship belt every single night because that's how it used to work. You just wanted, like, the fans just wanted to see the good guy win the belt. So he would never win the belt back. He would just always be the champion but lose it every single night.
So he's just a top heel guy. That's pretty cool, though. I would love to be a top heel. That would be awesome. Just piss everybody off.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard nowadays because top heels, the fans just get mad at whoever's booking the company, and they're like, well, we want this guy to be pushed, and then the heels aren't really hated. So it's tougher now. Back then, you could just, like, call someone fat, and then they'd want to kill you.
Yeah, you're right. Old Ric Flair, like, is probably the perfect example in your Stone Cold Steve Austin's later on. How the heels were over, you know? I think they were some of the first heels where we were like, okay, we get it. You're really fucking good at this. So, yeah, we want more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve Austin may have broke it, also saved wrestling, but he broke it by being, like, a cool bad guy, and then people were like, oh, no, he's cool. We like him. And then people started to like heels, and then who knows who's good and bad anymore now.
Yeah, I think it's just a big gray area. It's who you like. I mean, the badasses and the anti-hero really did take over in the 90s, and we never got. I don't think there's really ever been another Hulk Hogan-esque. You know, there's been flashes of them. You know, like Daniel Bryan's like 2013 run was almost similar to like a true face run. You know, where he was a real legit good guy that you wanted to win, right?
Yeah, I mean Cena too, but there was still those fans that like wanted to cheer the bad guys because they're like, no, we think bad people are cool.
No, I don't think Cena, because Cena is he's too physically imposing for you to like be completely behind it. He's kind of like Superman, right? Like, I don't really like the Superman character because Superman, he always wins, because guess what? I'll just make up a new power that now allows me to win this, right? When Daniel Bryan, you look at him and like, this guy should never win. He's like a true underdog. Like, there's no way you should do it. You know, he's basically like a Rocky Balboa. Shouldn't win this fight, but when he does, man, fucking Cloud 9.
Very much like our group in Laugh Finder.
Yes.
There's no reason we should win.
There's nobody in our. First of all, we have one of our most talented players has chosen a bard this season. So all he does is play guitar, and he's basically iTunes for us while we're trying to murder things. And I'm supposed to be our healer. I do no healing. I just fucking zap people with lightning bolts and shit. We're not supposed to win. I'd be surprised if this campaign campaign makes it a season and a half before most of us, if not all of us, are dead and have to be creatively resurrected as if it's Star Wars. Because I don't know if you've seen, I just watched the new, have you seen the new Star Wars yet?
I have not.
Okay, no spoilers, but let me tell you, there's no consequences in the film. So, anyway.
I mean, it's a movie.
It is something. Now, Kevin, over the years, I mean, you know, wrestling is a very physical sport and stuff like that, and comedy not as physical. But what's the worst thing that's happened to you out like in ring? Like, what made you wake up? Like, do you ever get like a fucking gnarly concussion, have to get wheeled off to the hospital, get staples pulled out of your back?
Oh no, when I was wrestling, it was before like people cared about concussions. So no one really cared. I probably was concussed once and like probably still drove home that night. But like the worst was like in training, we would like practice getting thrown out of the ring like over the top rope. Mm-hmm. And because I'm not super athletic, I was like, I don't want to just land on the floor, so I would like land back first on the ring apron, which if you watch wrestling, you've been told many times the hardest part of the ring.
It's unforgiving. That's where all the framework is.
Yes, that's where like the wood and the steel meet. And I thought it would look cool if I just landed on my back and thrown out. And so I did that like consistently. And then the next day I woke up and was like, oh, my side hurts a lot. And so like I actually went to a doctor and they're like, yeah, you probably strained your oblique. You probably you'll be fine in a couple days or whatever. But even like during the time, my trainer was like, hey, stop doing that.
You're going to hurt yourself. There's a reason they tumble to the ground. It hurts less.
Yeah, like everyone else is just like landing on their feet or whatnot on the outside. And I was like, well, I'm not sure I can do that. And I was like, I think it looks cool if I just slam onto the hard part of the ring.
Oh, you're taking a real Mick Foley approach to the sport.
Yeah, but like in hindsight, like what my trainer was trying to say was like, hey, nobody cares right now if this looks real cool. Like you're doing this for yourself.
That's a good point.
No one's paying you to do this right now.
Sage
like you're
advice.
paying me.
That's sage advice right there, though. I mean, but the only way you do it is by learning it. Now, Kevin, you've been in the comedy game. Am I right? Was this 4 or 5 years? Am I correct?
We can say that. It's been far too long. I think my first set was in 2011.
Okay, so you're reaching like the 9-year mark right now. Big 9-year anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, I did it like once or twice in 2011, maybe once or twice in 2012, so those don't super count. Okay. So it's probably more like 7 years, but when I say that and then look exactly where I am in the game, it's like I should probably just say 5.
Right. Now, did I heard apart from being a comedian, you also have some internet broadcasting going on in the form of a podcast. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So this year I launched a podcast called Talk O Bell, a podcast.
Not Taco Bell, but Talk O Bell.
Yes.
And it is. And what is that about?
So it's myself and a guest, and first we share a meal of Taco Bell, offline or whatever. So like it's not ASMR of us eating Taco Bell. Yeah,
so you break bread over fresh tortillas and all types of the accoutrement that they offer, and then what do you guys talk about after that? Your favorite Taco Bell? What? I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, so afterwards we talk about our favorite Taco Bell, our most liked item, our most disliked item, things we miss the most, how Taco Bell's impacted their life or their career.
I would say the biggest way Taco Bell's affected my life is my general weight gain that happens around 1:30 a.m. after a long night at the bar.
Yeah, but it soaks all that alcohol up, and then you're good to go the next day, right?
Yeah, and then you just liquefy, shoot it out the back end, spray in, so you got to wipe your legs, you know?
I mean, there's so much cheese in Taco Bell's food. Like, I haven't defecated in 3 years.
You know, they had that, you remember the promotion years ago where they had it was a response to Subway's Jared, and they had that lady who's like, I'm on the Taco Bell diet, and she was like Do you remember this?
I think I do. It was like a chef, and she brought in the cantina.
No. This was a lady who was her thing was she was Jared Fogle, but a lady version. Never got exposed to fucking kids, okay? So maybe she's the winner in all this, but they tried to present Taco Bell as like, I lost weight eating Taco Bell. And I got to be honest with you, as a gentleman who lost about 50 pounds this year, I ate a lot of Taco Bell, and I think it's, here's my theory, I think it's impossible to gain weight eating Taco Bell. If you only eat that, it just instantly liquefies into your system. I mean, and it comes right on out.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is like, I think it's been like proven as the healthiest fast food restaurant.
Yeah, a couple of times. I wouldn't talk about their meat items and stuff like that. I think the beef that goes in like their tacos is like, I read something like it's like a 1% actual meat, which oddly doesn't bother me, but
no, I mean, the rest of it's like oats and grains, and oats and grains are good, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems fine.
I think technically it's like 86% because there was some report where they like trashed them and said it was a low percent, and then they're like, no, it's 86% meat. And then they like sold stuff for 86 cents. That's
a solid B in my book. That gets you through Harvard.
Yeah, and even then, like 86, like I don't know if you should be acknowledging that it's still not 100% beef, but
I like it. But no, Taco Bell, they fucking own it, and I love it about them. Now, have you ever had problems like recording the pod there? Has there ever been a sultry manager that comes out and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing?
No, not really. I've normally there's like tables outside, and I just have like a small Zoom and 2 microphones, so it's not like a huge setup. And we're just outside, and then sometimes we're in a car, and like no one's gonna care what you do in your car as long as your clothes are on, I guess.
As long as they can watch and jay off. At least that's the cops that I run into. Well, that sounds awesome, man. Fucking sweet. So where can people check this out? Where is it available at?
So it's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. If you need more options, it's probably there too.
Give the fuck up if you need more options. You got to have Spotify at this point, right? Like, who doesn't have Spotify or basically Apple Podcasts / like iTunes, right? Those are the 2 major ones. You know, if you want to get froggy, and I'm sure it has an RSS feed, I assume, if it's being broadcasted both of them, you can get the RSS and add it to your own player. So, if you got a problem with that, you know what? I'm sorry. Fucking Kevin, actually, well, you could do, if you ask Kevin and mail him directly, which if you look at, you got to look up his mailing address, he'll send you a physical audio cassette tape of the podcast, but that it costs a little bit of money, and you got to be a patron. Am I right, Kevin?
Yeah, you can get the reel-to-reel tape as well, like whichever. If you want the unmastered version, I can send that.
I send it only on on 8mm. That's the only other way that you can get and listen to it. And it's actually just the audio file, but played through video. So you have to like assume like, I think that was the sound of like a fucking, he said taco meat there. I recognize those little peaks in the sound wave.
Yeah, or like just hang out at Taco Bell. I'm there all the time. You'll hear it.
Hell yeah, dude. And where can people find you other than that, Kevin? Is there a place where all things Kevin comedy, so we can check out your next show? People can come to it and say, hey, that's the guy on fucking Laugh Finder. He rocked ass.
So I use Twitter the most. It's at Just Skiff. That's SKIFF. There's also Instagram, which is at just.skiff, because some asshole stole it without the period.
I hate when people steal my period.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, so at Just Skiff. Hell yeah, dude. So check out Kevin. Any cool, exciting shows coming up in the month of January?
Yeah, I mean, January 8th, I believe this came out on the 7th.
Yeah. So if you're listening to it the day it comes out, tomorrow, you can see Kevin where?
Dangerously Delicious Pies in D.C.
Ooh, Triple D, my favorite type of pies and titties.
Yeah, I mean, comedy show, it's free, and there's pies, dinner and dessert pies. January 20th, I'll be at Jam and Java in Vienna, Virginia.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I think I'm at Jam and Java like somewhere in January as well. I think it's like the 15th or something. I don't know. Listen, I'm not here to plug me. We're here to just
You are
skip
there.
out.
I just looked through their calendar.
Nice.
But I can't remember the day.
Fuck yeah. I don't know. Go on my website and check that shit out, but only after you followed Kevin almost to an obsessive stalker level so that he's scared and has to block you.
I'll just mute. It's whatever.
You know, sometimes it's nice just to be wanted, okay?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Kevin, man. Thanks for doing the extra content for us. We really appreciate it, man. We'll send you that check. Never. There's no pay for it. But, hey, maybe get a couple followers out of it. And if you are listening, you don't follow them, fuck you. Get on there. Fucking mash that fucking follow button on K-Skiff.
Well, don't mash it. Just hit it once. That's probably the best way to follow someone.
Yeah, that is true. Other than in the old Buick or Pontiac, while I'm with the dark tinted windows right after you get off of work. That's the way I like to follow people.
Yeah, or like the van with the tinted windows.
Yeah, no, that's creepy. Anyway,
okay.
Thanks again, Kevin, for joining us. And stay tuned for something right after this.
Yeah.
All right, this is recap and play-by-play for the lost episode. Previously on Laugh-Finder, your loyal crew attacked a horrid beast on top of a levee. During the battle, another creature manifested from out a grave. It was a ghast, accompanied by a ghoul. We shot crossbows, we cast spells, we did dragon kicks, we sword struck, and we prevailed. We ended up mending the levee, albeit temporarily, and along the way we gained some experience points. And a reminder to our players this episode, hero points are available. We all have one, and the possibility of earning more for completing heroic deeds. However unlikely that may be, given the current cast and circumstances. And that brings us up to the present. A present which I should say has been lost to the annals of digital incompetence on the count of yours truly and the rest of the crew, minus our audiomancer Ben. So here is a quick play-by-play of what happened in the episode that will never be heard in its originality. We had a special guest, Kevin Skiffington. He joined us, and he incarnates as a 5-foot-tall soft taco by the name of Theodore Alexander Khan Oni, T-A-C-O. We discover that our friends, our non-player character friends, Belak Pearson and the African tourist Jalani, are missing. Where are they? They've gone off scavenging, and we don't know what's happened to them. Well, we go looking around the house. On the other side of the house, we discover the Skullhammer mercenaries are basically an occupying force on the other side of this mansion/quarantine zone. We get over there and discover that the Skullhammers have skipped town. They've disappeared. They've gotten out of Dodge, evidently. Although Taco manages to track their footprints upstairs. We go upstairs to this mansion. We look around. It's horribly shitty up there compared to our original side of the mansion. But then we hear a moaning, a painful moaning from down the end of the hallway. We walk down there to discover that Jelani is trapped. He's trapped under a heap of debris. We clear off the debris, and he's within inches of his life because he has a bear trap clamped around him. He says, with whatever breath he still has, that the burlap man has killed his companion Belak and absconded. We look around the room. Flarn finds a secret spot on the wall. It opens. A horrible smell comes from the opening, and we discover that it is a secret staircase. And we begin to walk carefully down that staircase. And that is pretty much everything you missed in its original entirety. Listen to that. The time you've saved just listening to the recap. And that brings us up to the present.
right, guys. Well, you probably just heard Aaron's recap. What an amazing time we had.
Amazing time to be alive. An amazing time for us to be here on a car cast back from the DC Improv.
You know what sucks about missing that is that as Kit, I gave a rousing speech to get a hero point.
Yeah, and then you immediately had to use it.
Yeah, and I immediately used it to re-roll a die. But I thought it was a good improvised speech. It was funny, right? There's a lot of funny moments that I'm sorry that we missed. We'll try to do better. You would think that 5 seasons we would know how to work this new fucking board. But we don't, and
we
that's
need Ben
it's
at all
on me.
times.
Yeah, we do need Ben. Ben, if you're listening to this, we do fucking
need
you.
Hashtag, listen, I need to learn how to use the board so I can just bring my computer, hook it up like how Ben does.
You're also, for the Ellicott Silly Festival, which is in March, you're doing a live episode of
Quality Time. Yes, Quality Time.
Our soundboard would be perfect for that because it's battery powered. You could run that soundboard off 6 batteries.
I don't even know how I'm going to hook it up, but we need to somehow hook audio from a computer and a projector and mics, and all I know is that we're going to basically MST3K the movie Night of the Lepus, which is a 1970s movie about mutant bunny rabbits that take over a small Midwestern town.
You know I have a projector, right?
Yeah, I might be hitting you up. So there's a lot of things I'm going to need help with. Did Quinlan talk to you about possibly doing a Quiplash late night, a comedians only?
Yeah, late night comedians only. That's going to be...
That might be the fucking jam
that's
right
gonna
there.
Be good. And you know what I'll do? I'll do a bunch of screen caps, and I'll blackmail everyone and ruin their career.
Hell fucking yeah, brother. But, yo, Tommy, we were talking about...
well, hold on. Let's wrap up what we just did. So we just did DC Improv. In Real Plus, we just did our show, our Christmas Murder Mystery, Merry Murder Mystery at the DC Improv.
Magical time.
It's always a good time at the DC Improv.
I don't think you can bomb at the DC Improv.
This crowd, though, there was something a little magic about this crowd.
They didn't like impeachment stuff.
They didn't like impeachment stuff, and they didn't mind it dirty.
They didn't like you talking about that lady and the cocoa butter.
Now, I meant that because cocoa butter smells good, but the crowd think...
Tommy came off as kind of racist and couldn't recover.
It came out weird.
It came out a little bit. Oh, you know what else didn't go over is Justin referring to brunettes as brown heads.
Yeah. He was like, "Hey, stupid brown head," and everyone's like, "Whoa."
There was a couple things that didn't go over good.
Some things that did go over well when I called Justin a chunky shart.
Yes, immediately they're back on your side. You talk about shit farts, we're back in. So yeah, there were here's the thing. I think this is the vein for that crowd tonight. It wasn't that you couldn't say something offensive. You couldn't say something that was uncomfortable. And uncomfortable is talking about our president being impeached. Uncomfortable is talking about brunettes as brown heads.
Yeah,
those were the two things that didn't work tonight. But hey.
and Rob Mayer saying, "Hey, I could say brown heads. They're my people."
I like that we tried to see the bit, though. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so back anyway. So we had a great show. If you're just come see a murder mystery, it's a good time.
Oh, by the way, I had there's a segment on this show where people come up. I play Santa, and they come up and tell me what they want for Christmas. And this is the first time I got the most flamboyantly gay man ever who came up and sat on my lap, and my nipples have never been harder. Let me tell you, like this dude, he was correct. He never stopped touching my nipples on stage, and I was like, this is a bit much. I'm committing with it.
I'd have been gay. I'm like, that's my spot.
I'm not gonna lie, a little bit. There was a chub that was starting to work up for this sweet fucking Latin American boy who
was that
weighed
the one in the yellow shirt that wanted the...
No, it was the one before him who wore the fucking pants that were painted on. This guy, first of all, this sweet twink almost turned me. Let me tell you. I was this close. I was like, I can see how a dude would want to fucking do it. This guy is a nice person.
There was a very slight woman that was on your lap that you she asked for a vibrator.
Yes.
And you were like, "Here's your vibrator." He started bouncing your knee that she was sitting on, and Oh.
Oh! All right.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
do it.
Listeners, I'm getting a call from Chris Restivo. I'm letting it rock. No. It should go through the speakers. Chris, Chris Restivo, is that you?
I'm at the fucking Mill Stream. They're having a gigantic Christmas party.
No fucking way. You're at the Millstream Inn?
Yes, there's a giant Christmas party.
Is my girl there or what?
Yes.
I don't believe
They
you.
must have got you. I swear to God.
I don't believe you. Actually, I'm in D.C. I just finished a show at the D.C. Improv.
You're at D.C.
Yeah, I was performing at the D.C. Improv.
Fuck the D.C. Improv.
Hey man,
Dumbass down here.
I'm making moves. I'm performing comedy and living my dream.
Oh, yeah. Stream, motherfucker.
Hey, you know who I saw? Chris. I saw your girl Candace Saunders.
Tell us fucking dick. I don't like her.
Why don't you like Candace Saunders? She said nothing but nice things about you.
If you don't come down, I'm not talking to you. Text me.
All right, bye. You're super gay. I love you.
No.
Hey, the Vikings are cool and they're also gay. Damn it.
Jesus. Okay.
All right, we got a call from Chris Restivo. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah, fuck that
Sorry.
guy. I hate that guy.
I tried to get some more out of him, guys.
But anyway, before we hit record on this, we were both talking about shroom experiences. Like
Oh, yeah,
our
fucking
first shroom
yeah.
experiences. And I thought, hey, that's a good thing we'll give to you guys.
Do you remember the first time you did shrooms?
100%, absolutely.
What age were you?
23 or 24.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Because I
Where were we at? Set the stage. Give it to
the
us.
first time the first time I did shrooms, we went over to go pick. I went with I was dating a girl, Tiffany. We drove over and picked up my buddy Tiberius. He was living with my buddy Harn. Now you got to remember,
Shout
I
out
used
to
to LARP.
Tiberius.
I used to LARP, so a lot of these people have weird names. Between LARPing and goth clubs, a lot of people have weird names.
Are you saying Tiberius was not his Christian name?
No, his name is Brandon Barger, but he fought by the name Tiberius, and everybody just calls him Tiberius.
Big Tib.
And then I had a buddy Eric who went by Harn, and they were living together with what was Dawn's name?
With 6 strangers
Yeah.
picked to live in a house.
the real world LARP.
It's time to start getting real and stop getting LARP.
So, but we go over to his house. I'm there with Tiffany. He's like, "Hey man, do you want to do some shrooms?" And I'm like, "Okay, I've never tried shrooms before." So I told Tiffany, I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna do shrooms." She was like, "I'm good." So we go into the kitchen. He goes into the freezer, and there's a bag of shrooms, and he was like, "Here, start eating them." And I'm like, "Oh, how many do I eat?" And he's like, "Just eat them." And so we're just eating shrooms out of this bag, and I'm like, "God, Christ, they fucking taste horrible."
I don't mind the taste of shrooms. Is that weird?
No, I
like
can't.
it tastes like a nice famunga cheese.
Oh God, it tastes horrible. It tastes like feet, like bad feet.
You say feet, but I've never, the taste of shrooms has never bothered me for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like, people is like, we need to make tea. We need to put it in with this peanut butter sandwich. And I'm like, give them to me. I'll just fucking eat them.
Well,
That's
I prefer
easier.
tea because then the shrooms are gentler on my stomach.
As I've gotten older, yes, that is true. I get a mean heartburn.
Tiffany then drives us to, we're in Tiberius. She drives Tiberius' car. We go to the goth club. We go to Orpheus. And the shrooms start kicking in. And
Orpheus?
Orpheus.
The idea of a club named Orpheus, it just sounds like something in the Matrix.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I mean, you look around, everyone's Neo there.
Womp, 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 womp,
So I'm sitting there, shit starts getting crazy. Like, in my perspective, like, the world is bending. I went to go talk to the bar. I was smoking a clove cigarette, and actually, I put it out with my own finger. Ground it out on my finger. The bartender,
just how Dad used to do.
the bartender who knows me comes over, and he speaks very quickly. He comes over, he's like, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I took a bunch of shrooms, and I have no fucking idea what you're saying right now." And he was like, and just like walked away, and I had no idea what this guy said. Right. So now I'm looking I'm starting to freak out because the place has two different color schemes. There's a green light on one side and a red light on the other. And for me, man, you needed papers to cross from the green side to the red side, right? And so Tiberius, who's been sitting on a bar stool.
You've never explained anything more accurate with shrooms, where you see a color scheme, you're like, no, my emotions can't fit into that room.
I don't have a passport. I'm not properly dressed to go on the outside. Yeah,
I've definitely been there.
So I go to Tiberius, and Tiberius, whose back is facing me, Tiberius is 6'5", right?
Mm-hmm.
Big 6'5", bald white guy that is sitting on a bar stool, and he's clinging on this bar stool with his back to me, and I'm like, hey man, shit's going fucking weird, man. I don't think I can't handle it, right? And he turns around with the widest fucking eyes and gritting teeth, and he's like, the people, they're like little demons dancing at the mouth of hell. And I'm like, oh God. So then we go to Tiffany.
Is
and we're
this
like,
a good trip for you? So you're having a bad trip on your first trip?
This is a horrible.
Why did you ever go back to this drug?
Oh man, I'm always chasing that bad trip. So we go to Tiffany, and I'm like, Tiffany, you need to get us home. Please, can you drive us? You got to just because I'm just going to walk out into the street, and homeless people are going to touch me. So she's like, okay. So we get into the car. She's driving. Tiberius is in the passenger seat. I'm in the back seat, and I am literally chewing the headrest. I've literally bit like George the Animal Steel bites turnbuckles. I have chewed a piece out of this headrest, right? And so we get to Tiberius's apartment, and he sits on the couch. I'm sitting on the floor with my back to the couch, Indian style. And I think they have on the Blair Witch Project was on cable.
Oh,
right?
What a great movie to pick out.
It
after
didn't matter
all this.
because I couldn't understand English at this point. I'm watching the TV and just hear, which meanwhile Harn, who didn't go to the club with us, but was Tiberius' roommate, was playing some MMO, like World of Warcraft or EverQuest or something, right? He took a bunch of shrooms, too. Harn apparently was playing. He was in a dungeon with this dude. They were grinding this dungeon. The shrooms kick in. Harn's character just starts running in a circle. Because Harn can't fucking control. And the guy's like, hey, dude, are you okay? And he's like, dude, I'm fucking tripping on shrooms. Harn then dies. A monster comes up and kills Harn. Harn has then spent the rest of the evening trying to go back and find his body so he can get his shit, right? Mm-hmm. So now we're there. We're watching the Blair Witch Project. I'm just sitting there, and Tiberius is just taking things out of his pocket and throwing them on the floor. I'm immediately grabbing them and putting them right in my mouth.
Okay.
Like change, receipts he's throwing, and I'm not even paying attention to it anymore. I just putting it in my mouth. So then he puts something hits me. I pick it up. I put it in my mouth. It feels square shaped, and I'm like, why the fuck do I taste banana? Pull it out. It's a banana flavored condom.
Oh!
Because 2 weeks ago we went to some party and they had flavored condoms in a bowl. I chewed on it like it was gum. Like I was a fucking conehead. So then,
how did it taste? Was it banana flavored?
It tastes like artificial banana flavor.
All right, cool. So it's not that bad.
It was horrible.
Did you want to? Did you feel like that was an acceptable fuck method?
Well, I got a bit out of it because now I say, like, why of all flavors would you flavor a condom like banana? Like, or are you trying to trick yourself into thinking it's not a dick? You're like, all right, you ready? Oh, delicious banana! Oh, what a lovely snack! Here comes the potassium. So that's
how Christopher Steve-O turns gay. Is he tries his first banana condom.
He does shrooms for the first time and sucks a banana covered dick.
Yes, and finally admits that he did it.
So we then go back. Tiffany and I are leaving, and I'm still fucking out of it. And I tell her, as we're leaving, I'm like, we're going to go home and fuck. And, like, as soon as I left, apparently they turned to each other like, there's no way he's fucking on.
First of all, look, it was funny. I've done mushrooms many times. My friend Kenny Choi, shout outs. We used to call him China because we're racist. He's a very Asian gentleman from China I went to college with. Some girl asked him, he's like, yeah, have you ever tried to have sex on mushrooms? And he had the best answer to it ever. He was like, are you fucking kidding me? Having sex on mushrooms? I'd be like fucking her and be like, oh my God, you're fucking melting. How am I fucking inside you? You're fucking melting right now. I can't fucking do this. And that lady never did shrooms.
Well, Eminem has a song. What's it go?
I never let them
give you mushrooms, girl. I never let them bring you into my world.
Now you're sitting in the corner crying, and it's my fault, my fault.
Yeah, and it's all about this girl on a bad
I went to
fucking
Blonde
trip.
Rave with Ron and Dave, met a new wave blonde babe with half of her head shaved.
Nice.
Susan. Fuck it. Yeah, I like that song.
was-
It's a good song.
Oh, yeah, you had a lot of it in there.
I love me some Eminem.
So what about you? The first time you did shrooms?
Okay, so my first time doing shrooms, I was probably about 17 or 18. I know I could drive, so I was probably 18 years old. Me, my friend Sean L. and John G. And my friend Jerron all took shrooms. The only person who had done shrooms out of the lot of us was John G. And he was kind of like our guide, and he was a goddamn good guide. We took them, and as they started to kick in, we went on a nice nature walk.
Nice.
And I found that with my close group, these are like my core friends from like high school at the time. We had a great time. We were very much connected, like in a sense. Like I've always found mushrooms as a thing that like you don't really see stuff necessarily, like an acid would do on your own, but like you're suggestive to the point where like, hey, look at that. That looks like Marge Simpson. And then you're like, fuck yeah, it does look like that shit.
Yeah.
And you're immediately, like, it helps you, to me, when you're with really good friends, it helps you connect with them.
Yeah, you're almost like in a bubble when you're in a reality bubble.
Yeah, with all the people that you're
tripping
tripping
on.
with. And that I think it's the only drug that is communal in that sense, right? So we're having a fun time. It's the hardest I've ever laughed, right? Like, ever in my life was doing shrooms probably for the first time. But the thing that sticks out to me were a couple of moments. One where we're in the bubble and me and my friend Sean are just laughing. We're like, look at this thing. Yeah, I see that. Do you see this thing? He's like, fuck yeah, I see that. And we're just going back and forth. We look over at John, and he's just sitting there looking at the ground. And we're like, man, John's fucking really in it. John, you got to check this out, dude. Look at this thing. It looks exactly like this. And he's like, nah, man. And I was like, why? He looked up from us, like looked up from the ground, and he goes, nah, dude, the ground, that's where shit happens. And we started looking, and I was like, oh, you're right. That is where. Well, immediately, we're like, yeah, this is where shit happens. Why were we not looking at the ground this entire time? We're idiots, right? And it's like there was two other experiences that just really set off mushrooms for me that night. One was my friend Sean just he stood up, and like we were all sitting down in his basement, and he all of a sudden stood up, and I was just like, holy shit, dude, you just got big as fuck. Like just looking at him, and he just goes, and without a moment's hesitation, he just goes, that's what standing up will do. And we had a good laugh over that. And the only like moment where I had like my own kind of personal moment where I was just silent, like, you know when you trip and you have your own kind of moment. I was laying on old John G's basement floor. He had a brown, like that kind of like carpet that you see at school. Like there's no padding to it. It's just like a fucking. It might as well just be floor, right? Like a real thin carpet, but it was all brown. And I don't know if you remember this, Tommy. In the 90s, they had like this CD called like Chant that was about these like monks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it had like these monks in brown robes on the front of it.
Yeah.
My parents had it, loved it, right?
They would do like contemporary song, like grunge. There was some grunge
exactly
songs
right. So I'm sitting there. I'm looking at this brown carpet. I look out at my arm that's like outstretched, laying on the ground, and I look at like the little carpet fibers, and it's no longer brown carpet fibers. It's just a fucking million of these little guys in brown robes. And I look out at my arm, and they're all just start humming at me like hum, like this, and I just see them just carrying me away like Gulliver's Travels on like the ocean of this brown carpet that is clearly been every type of fluid has been poured on, and I'm having the time of my life. And ever since then, mushrooms were pretty fucking awesome, man.
We did have I've done my favorite thing. It used to be doing mushrooms while LARPing, not during the live action role play part, but at the end of the day, shit's winding down. You're just there with your countrymen, you know, your friends. We would take black plastic sheeting and make like a wall around our camp with a gate, and then when it was time to do shrooms, we would fucking close the gate by putting another wall there so people couldn't come in. And we would just fucking do it, but then we would feel like we were trapped.
I understand
and fucking
that.
break out. But one of the times we went, there was a thing called Ragnarok, which is a live-action role-play gaming system called Dagger Here, right?
Okay.
Dagger Here's annual event is called Ragnarok. So chapters from Dagger Here would come from all over the U.S. To a campground in Ohio, and they would fight. You know, they do scenarios and shit like that. So one year we were running everything. There was someone brought a fabricated castle, like made a castle.
Oh shit!
So there was a castle we could have castle battles in and everything.
Hell yeah!
So my buddy Jose and I we were running the event. Our group was running the event that year. So we had to do troll duty. Troll duty meant you worked the front gate, and when people came to check in, or if someone needed an ambulance called, that was your responsibility.
Okay.
Jose was back at camp, and it was my shift for troll duty. And right around like half hour before troll duty ends, I fucking took Jose and I both took a fucking mountain of mushrooms.
Damn. All right.
He went back to camp to wait for me. I was like, in a half hour, it'll just kick in. I'll come down. Well, in that half hour, I start tripping my balls off. We're getting called. That's when we get calls from like the ambulance. Like you hear someone over the walkie-talkie, like, "Hello, yeah, she cut her finger really bad. We're gonna need an ambulance." And I'm like, "Fuck, dude, I couldn't handle any of this." Luckily, a buddy of mine was able to be responsible and handle everything. So I go down, I meet up with Jose. Jose is now freaking the fuck out. He was like, "Dude, everything looks digital. All the trees look digital. It's like I'm on a set." And then, because apparently when he was back at camp, these two friends of ours, Pontius and Marcus, they both brought their girlfriends to the event to camp out.
Horrible idea.
The girlfriends, in front of Jose, dumped Pontius and Marcus so that the two girlfriends could hook up and be a couple.
Whoa.
Yeah, and Jose saw all this, so now Jose thinks he's on the set of a telenovela. He's like, "No, man, this is all fucking fake.
No,
it's all fucking fake, man."
No.
I'm like, "Dude, it's fine. Let's go for a walk."
Is this former guest Jose?
Yeah, Jose. You know
Hell yeah.
Jose,
Okay,
former
tight.
guest. So we go for a walk, and there's this huge bonfire where all these people are just standing around. And Jose and I, we're now in our own little reality bubble, right?
Right.
And like the Highlander, something fucking boom, we got a ping. We look across the fire pit. It's two of our other friends. They fight with some other country, right? Mm-hmm. So we look across the fire, and they look across the fire at us, and I mouth over to them. I'm like, "Are you guys tripping?" Like I was like, "Are you tripping?" And they were like, "Are you tripping?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" So then we came in our bubble, went blink, and now it's four of us in this fucking reality bubble, right?
Hell yeah, dude.
Now this campground in Ohio, right on the field where we would fight and battle, there was a natural spring there with the best tasting fucking water. It was the cold. It was. These events are during the summer, so in the summer you're wearing armor, you're thirsty. You go and drink out of this fucking natural spring that's right next to the battlefield.
And it's like finding the thing in The Legend of Zelda where
Yeah.
the fairy, like
Yes.
with the lake and
It is
everything,
so fucking good.
reviving.
I have
Puts
craved
all
this
your
water.
HP back up.
Yeah, you're like bloop, 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 bloop. So I was like, "Dude, let's walk over and get some of that water." And Jose's like, "I never drink that water." And we're like, "Why, dude? It's good as shit. It's clean."
good-ass
He was like,
motherfucking water.
"Because people could shit and piss in that thing. I know because I would shit and piss in that spring."
That's a good point.
So I was like, "Dude, it's fine." So we walk over there, and the whole time we're trying to convince Jose. So finally, it's the middle of the night where we walk through the field to get to this fucking spring, and I'm drinking it. I'm just gulping it. We're all like, "Look." Oh, and Jose's like, "I'm not fucking drinking that water." And I was like, "Dude, look, how about we'll shine a light in here? If it looks clean, you'll have some." He was like, all right, but only if it like looks clean." We shine the light in, that this water we've been gulping down. Easily a foot-long salamander is just right in this water, just looking at us, right? We're like, "Ah!" And the salamander just like, you like my piss?
Hey,
You like all my
do you like
piss?
me? Do you love me? My name's Old Sal.
Oh, Greg,
I'm
want
all-
to drink Bailey's out of a boot?
Look at my salgina.
So we all bought insurance from this salamander. The only other thing I remember from that is we just went to that fabricated castle and got on top of it.
Okay.
And we were tired of it being nighttime. And I was trying to say I wanted the sun to come up, but I couldn't form the words. So all I could say was, bright face now! Bright face now! And then it was just us screaming, bright face now! Like all fucking night. It was good times, man.
It's a good drug, man.
And
It's
it's
a good drug.
if you've never done mushrooms, please go to your local dealer.
Yes, find
and
them.
buy mushrooms.
Find them illegally.
Which now I've been doing a set now. That
Support local business.
I've been doing a set that I like to call Under the Influence, and it was the set that I did from the Under the Influence show. But in it, I do preach the benefits of psilocybin, which they're now doing studies. They've treated.
Now there's a 10-year-old that does mushrooms, so that's good.
There is a study where they, if you do mushrooms, it makes you more creative for the following 6 months. It forges new pathways in your brain. It can regrow brain cells. And if you suffer from depression, it will actually reset your depression in your brain so that you're not depressed anymore.
I can attest to that. I like every once in a while. I don't do them very often, but every once in a while, I take a little bit, and then I feel like my life is a new outlook on life. You know, it's
and you
much
don't even have
brighter.
to do enough where you're seeing shit or feeling shit. You can do what's called microdosing, which we had a friend do it. And this guy, he had checked himself into an institution.
Yeah, but have some fun. Have
Yeah.
some fun. All right, kids? Don't microdose your first time. Go hard. By the way,
Macrodose your first time.
and word of advice, the first time you do it, do a bunch, because honestly, it's the one drug that you can't overdose
yeah,
on.
you're not going to OD on it.
But you have to do more your first time, and then almost your second time you could do less.
Yeah,
and then your brain remembers, oh, this is what we do now.
Yeah.
So it's the only drug you have to do more of the first time you do it.
I'd say in the safety of your home, you can do over 5 grams. If you are planning on going out in public, don't do more than 1 gram.
I used to always be a standard 1/8 guy. I would do it 1/8 of mushrooms to really get that fucking trip.
Let's see, an 1/8 is 3.5
3.5,
grams.
something like that. Yeah.
That's a good trip.
It is strong. I don't want to ever do more than that because I have, and guess what? Shit was way too intense for a while.
If I'm at home by myself, I won't do more than 2 grams.
Yeah, I will. I also don't like to be in my house. I like to be out with nature.
I do
also,
like that, but if Lou's out of town,
you want a nice safe space. You want friends that, personally, listen, if I were to give you a user's guide for a first time, you want somebody who's done them before that's chill. You don't want a shitty person. By the way, how do you tell if the person is shitty in real life? They're not going to be better on mushrooms.
shrooms doesn't
okay?
fix them. Don't
that
do
doesn't
shrooms
fix
and hang
it.
out with Chris Restivo.
Yes, you don't want to do that. You want to have a good guide that'll kind of bring you down because listen, there will be moments where you panic, but that panic is like a wave. It's kind of like the wave goes and then it bursts over you and you're good again, okay? So you're going to need somebody to kind of talk you through those your first time. But after that, it's fucking really fun. You'll have
the
a great
problem
time.
I would have sometimes is cyclical logic, circular thinking, where the question you're asking yourself gets answered by the question that you're answering yourself, that gets answered by, and I get stuck in a loop. And
circle arguments.
Yeah, if
they're the
shit
worst.
just starts getting too in your head, just talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Just get out of your head and have a conversation with people. I find it also makes me more personable. I've entertained whole campgrounds with LARPing just in front of the campfire because I'm tripping just,
I found it's always a communal thing. You do it with a couple of people, and those are the guys that you're going to spend the next 6 hours with. You want to do that, and if those people are not good people to begin with, then you're not going to have a good time.
No.
If they're your good ass friends, you're going to have a fucking great time. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking about fucking old Sherry Berry who likes to talk about all of her boy problems, those things don't go away, and they will bring you the fuck down.
Yeah.
Leave Sherry cherry at home. Go out, have fun, find yourself a John G, a Sean L, a Jose, and you're going to have a fucking blast.
Get you a Tiberius.
Yeah, get you a Tiberius.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I hope that I know this episode wasn't as good as a regular episode, but we tried to do our best.
I hope
to give
it
you
was
guys something.
insightful.
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
anything.
I hope that you found something that you liked in this episode. And next week's episode is great. And for moving forward, we're going to try not to do this again. This is only our second lost episode.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Hey, can I throw this out?
Yeah. What do you got?
Listen, we've talked about mushrooms a bunch on there. It's no stranger. Why don't we give a special thing that if you want to, send us a testimonial letter, okay, about why you would like to do mushrooms with some members of Laughfinder. And I think we could set up an event if your letter is good enough, if your email is good enough. Send it to laughfinderpod@gmail.com. We'll review it, or we'll just remove this content altogether. But I think it's a great idea. By the way, we get to choose who we pick.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Sure.
So if you think you can hang with us, you've never done it before, send us a testimonial about why you would like to do this psychedelic drug.
Yeah, send us an essay, your champion of courage essay.
And maybe
for Black History Month.
And we'll do it for the release of Doctor Strange Into the Darkness, into the dimension of
That's
madness.
going to be a straight up horror movie.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, stay tuned because Eric's going to put that. So we're going to have Eric's song on there. And thanks for listening. And we'll see you
next week. We're gonna do it. Looks like you goofed inside me. Now I got an extra heart inside me. I thought you said you would pull out. Backyard abortion. Nothing's gonna turn me back now. Straighten coat hanger off the rack now. We're gonna make this fetus die. Backyard abortion. There's nothing I didn't try. This miscarriage is impossible. This time there's no stopping us. I'm gonna do it. On your mark, get set, we go now. Got a future and we all know now. I'm gonna make this dream come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. I don't want to reproduce, and we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make all our dreams come true for me and you.